Yes, I have unceremoniously integrated the merch store with YouTube. It seems to be working thus far. You can get the 2 designs that we have on a huge array of items now, but they show up underneath the videos, which is very good. I made the 2 like standard basic shirts a bit cheaper than you would usually find them. Because I know I've been there where you really want YouTuber merch, but you don't have any money. So, you know, it's not, I still make a profit, but it's not that much. But like, if you really want some burger merch, you should be able to have it. Yeah, that's it, basically. So you're out on the town with your friends, just having a good time, and suddenly, the thing that your parents always warned you about happens. Already having had a few apple juices too many, you walk into the wrong alleyway and suddenly find yourself cornered by a bunch of primordial entities from the great void beyond. You don't have any more cash on you, they don't take credit cards, and you'd rather kind of keep your soul. But as these ancient beings close in on you, your life flashes before your eyes and you remember that you saw this video. You and your friends can, right there on the spot, create an entire universe for these great old ones to consume, and they will let you go. This is just one of the many real-life practical applications for the 3x4 world building method, which I will teach you here today, along with a live example of me actually doing the 3x4 method. Basically what this is, it's a very simple rule set by which you and your friends, or strangers really, can create a cool and interesting world in a really quite short amount of time. And the cool thing is, this method lends itself to building not just, yet another sci-fi world or yet another fantasy world, but like actual, real, original, high concept stuff that is super cool and sometimes a bit wacky. I have created a bunch of very interesting things with this, with my friends. I have played adventures then in these worlds, because that's usually what I use this for. I've been androids, humanoid androids running on magical fuel, steampunk fuel, at the end of time when the universe is slowly blinking out, living on like shards of a shattered earth. I've been the pirate crew on like a sled ship of an ancient empire, sailing over like the vast archipelago world, but it's all frozen, and there's intelligent polar bears and giant leviathans that come through the sea, and the stars are energy cores. I've been low-tech space colonists, trying to, because Earth has been destroyed, settle a cosmic tortoise and the dangerous environment that creates. It was a turtle, not a tortoise. It was a cosmic turtle. It's a very important distinction. There's really no limits as to what you can do, and because everyone got to contribute something, they will all be pretty invested in the world and like it. And you can also just use this method on your own, which is what I will do later. So how this works is you have 3 categories, each of which we will gradually fill with 4 elements. These categories are features of time, features of place, and features of culture. The idea is to go around your table or your group or whatever arrangement you have that you happen to be in, and allow each person to contribute an element, one of the items in this 3x4 grid that they find would be interesting. This can be something small or something gargantuan, like a quirk maybe, or the very description of the nature of the universe itself. And it can just start off with a single word, or like a sentence, a very short thing, and then be developed into something more concrete and complex. Maybe it's very simple, maybe it doesn't really fit with the world as it is, but that's kind of the point. You should try to fit these things in, especially when they come out of left field. Try to make them work in a way that is somewhat realistic, because that is where all the interesting genre-bending stuff is gonna come from. And whatever it is that a person is adding, unless it like offends you on the deep psychological level where you're like, no, this is it will have difficulty enjoying this even in the slightest, it will cause me psychological harm if this particular element is in the world, you don't get to tell the person, oh, your idea is bad and it's not going to be added, because it's their element. They have the right to add this, and while it is fine to flesh out details as a group, they should always have first dibs on defining an element that they added to the world. Features of time are things that happened, or maybe if your world is suited to it, things that will happen but are already shaping the way that things are running. But primarily this category is about like important historical events that, unless you explicitly state otherwise, the people of your world will usually know about. Features of place are vaguely geographical. You might of course not be playing on Earth or any other planet at all. There might be a completely different kind of nature. Maybe the universe is donut shaped. That, for instance, would be a feature of place. It could, of course, also be there's a mountain near the city and it's special because of this. That is also a feature of place. It's important to note that civilization-made features that are like places and landmarks are also features of place. Features of culture are things which pertain to the way that the creatures that inhabit your world behave. So it's basically like the culture, the psychology, the basic conceptions of in my case, it would be humans. I prefer humans over pretty much all the other things. I don't really like to play aliens or, God forbid, anthros. But if you aren't playing humans, or you're playing humans that it's slightly, different from the way that we are, this can absolutely be biological facts about them. But then, we should discover how this biological fact, this trait, influences the way that they behave. How does that make them different and special? So you go around the table and anyone can add to any category that they choose until that category is full. You might find it easier to get into the world building if you've established certain baseline elements as a group beforehand, like, oh, we're gonna be humans, or we're gonna be elves, or we're gonna have like a modern tech level, or we're gonna have a medieval tech level, or like a age of we can travel in space tech level. But very often these things will just you find those out in the world building process. But there's nothing wrong with discussing that beforehand. Really what it boils down to is that you can just adapt this method to your liking, obviously. Try when you're making new elements to not build on top of old elements until you have like half of the slots filled. And even then try not to do it unless it's like something that really just presents itself, a link, or like a connection of things interacting with each other. Because it is inevitable that eventually these things will intersect. They are things which exist in the same world, and that's really when part of the magic happens. But try to like give the world enough aspects before you make it like too, focused, unless that's what you're looking for. Over the course of the world building process, you will also begin having discussions on fleshing out individual elements. Having these kinds of discussions during the process is fine, but make sure it doesn't overtake the thing as such. You can always flesh these things out later. You can flesh them out playing whatever you're gonna be playing. So just, it's fine so long as it doesn't take over the whole process. So I'm gonna switch over to the computer view with just what I have recorded earlier, and it's gonna have like a random word generator in D3 so I can simulate being with a group, because I am in fact alone at my home right now. Hey there everyone, this is your boy Burger with the thing that we're gonna do now. I have the features of time, features of place, features of culture up here in a text document. I color coded them like with those girls who would just use different marker pens in high school to differentiate whatever mental categories they had for things. That's me right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to roll a D3 to see which category it is with like an online D3 roller. And it is the category number 3. So the next thing we're going to do is features of culture. Now I'm going to go to a random word generator and generate me a random word. Alliance. Features of culture alliance. Let's think. What could alliance mean? I said no humans earlier. I said only humans earlier, but let's say we have two different. Alliance, in other words, symbiosis. We have a symbiosis of two kinds of different beings. And one of them is humans. How about we do something like the Goa'uld, but like not parasitic? So, I mean, you could make a case for the Goa'uld not being necessarily ultra-parasitic, because they do, like, boost your immune system to death and shit. So, let's call them human... What kind of symbionts do we want? Do we want magic in this world? How about, yes, we have, like, it's like an alliance with ghost beings. So you have these elemental ghost beings. Human, elemental, and what happens is that these elementals and the humans, they get fused together. Symbiosis. No, that's not how you write symbiosis. That's how you write symbiosis. Human elemental symbiosis. And I'm going to write a quick blurb for this. So we have human elemental symbiosis, right? At birth, humans are fused with elemental spirits, including non-primary elements. So you have like not just fire, water, earth, and wind, but also like, I don't know, sand and lava and ice and poison, whatever you want to choose as being like elements, which co-inhabit their bodies as vessels while giving them elemental powers, good health, and significantly lengthening their lifespan. Let's roll another d3 to see what category we're up next. And again, if you're just doing this, people can just pick the category that they want to use. I'm just doing this randomly, so, you know, to simulate that there's other people there. But you could, of course, just roll the d3 also and force people to pick a certain category, or even, like, a specific word the way I'm doing. It's like you can combine these two methods without a problem. Let's see what we get. 2, features of place. And what are we gonna get as a feature? Husband. That's a... that's an interesting word. So sometimes in mythology, the moon is the husband or the wife of the earth. So let's say that this whole thing is the civilization that we're talking about, the main civilization, is located on the moon of Earth. Yes, the moon of Earth, which is terraformed. So this is how we know now that we're in the future, potentially. We don't have to be in the future. We could do like an ancient aliens type deal. Yeah, let's do kind of like an ancient, maybe the moon is Atlantis, right? And the world is this wild place. But then it would be more interesting if it could be like a post-apocalyptic place. Maybe there's like magical spirits and titans and stuff and monsters on Earth. And that's why there's not really any humans here. So it's a lunar civilization. As Earth is dominated by powerful magical creatures and indomitable wilderness, humans live on the moon, where they have their Atlantean high-tech civilization and occasionally undertake expeditions. So let's also say that the moon is like habitable. Because there were like, you have like very oldie-timey, I know it's pronounced the, but it's funny if I say ye, astronomers who were like, oh, there's these labyrinths on the moon. Let's say that those are the ruins of this Atlantean civilization. Okay, so we're moving definitely in the past. Let's see what category comes next. Let's see. This is a 2, another 2. Another feature of place. Let's see what the random generator spits out for us. Beard. What can we do with beard? It would be too simple to just make this, okay, it's like ancient Greek-ish because of, you know, Socrates' beards. Athenians had beards often in the time of Socrates. But that would be too simple because we've already established, like, that the aesthetic is, like, high-tech antiquity, maybe like Atlantis type deal. You know how, like, I don't know if this is a German thing, but there's this thing called the Mondgesicht, where you just, like, through Pareidola, you look at the moon and you see, like a vague face. And so that face could have a beard, because this is a feature of place. Maybe because sometimes when people are bad at having beards, they're unkempt and unhygienic. And so maybe, like the southern fringe of the moon, like the polar regions, or not necessarily just the polar regions, but also the regions just above the poles, are like also just dangerous wildlands, but for completely different reasons. Maybe what it is it's like a project of bioengineered creatures. So biotech quarantine. The southern fringe of the moon is made up of a jungle full of strange, magically bioengineered creatures that sprung up in an experiment gone wrong. So maybe you still have like the ruins of cities there, or just like isolated human civilizations that are nowhere near as powerful as like the elemental fused humans of the northern regions. Or maybe they have like certain individuals. And we can say that these creatures tend to be hairy. I don't know, because we did roll beard. That's a lot of interesting adventure hooks down there. Let's see, what do we get next? What do we get next? This is a, come on. Another 2, Jesus, we do a lot of features of place. And our word will be tortoise. Tortoise. What can we do with tortoise. Maybe tortoises have shells, right? So maybe in the lunar rock there is oh, this is cool. This ties it into another thing that we had, okay? So there's this layer of sediment in the moon that's fairly down, and it's this hard shell that cannot be drilled through, right? So what we have is, and below that is where the elementals live. And there's certain like chutes or like altars where those elementals sort of come out and confuse with the humans. So that's where this fusion happens of like little babies and their elemental spirits. So now we have the spirit core, right? Like there's a layer of impenetrable rock a few kilometers down underneath which the elementals reside. Though people have tried to drill through it to reveal their secrets, none have been successful. Maybe these elementals are also like a kind of demon, right? Because they live in whatever like hell there is. Do they even have a consciousness? I think it would be funny if they had like, no, but that would be a bit too bicameral. No. They don't communicate with people that way. They just get infused, like with the people that they are fused with, you know? And so maybe at some point some villain is gonna, you know, be able to drill down there and then be able to harness the whole power of the elementals. Who knows? Let's roll the die again. See another 2. Jesus Christ. This is features of place. Let's generate a word. Abbey. So maybe we have like an outpost of human civilization that is on the Earth, right? But it's located on Olympus Mons, right? So it has this religious element to it that comes from Abbey, and it's a place. And maybe these are like the predecessors of the like Olympian deities. Maybe Zeus was just a guy who got fused with like a lightning elemental. So Olympian outpost. The only stable outpost of civilization on Earth is located on top of Olympus in what is today modern Greece. I think it's in Greece. I'm not entirely positive on that. The first, when somebody says Olympus, the mountain, the first mountain that I think of is Olympus Mons on Mars. It is always under threat from the entities that inhabit Earth, which would be the Titans. Let's roll again. Please don't roll another 2. That would be pretty cool. It's another 2. Fuck. We have to roll again, because now it's full. It is fully full. A 3. Another feature of culture. How about we get a feature of time at some point? Jesus. Let's take another word. Crisp. Crisp is cold, is cool. Well, let's stay with cold for this particular analogy. Let's say there's they're cold towards something. They are cold toward like an underclass of people who just don't get like elemental spirits. Just, like when they do the ritual of let's infuse you with an elemental spirit, it just doesn't happen. And so then these people are like a lower class that have to serve as like servants. So discriminated underclass. Those who cannot fuse with an elemental at birth become part of an underclass deemed inferior by the higher society, relegated to a life of servitude to their masters. Let's say this is like maybe a third of the people. Let's actually make this quite common. And there's like, and those people would essentially be like just humans. Like the way we are humans, that would be them. They would essentially be equal to us. Listen, it's always good to not just have an unequivocally good hero civilization. Let's roll again. Let's roll again. Let's roll again. A 1, finally, a feature of time. Let's generate something. Supervisor. A supervisor. What is, you know, like a god, if not a supervisor? Also, an AI. Maybe they had like an AI. There was at like a non-interventionist government AI that used to run the government, but for some reason it got turned off or destroyed. So we have the defunct AI supervisor, right? Matters of governance and administration used to be handled by an artificial intelligence, which was destroyed in an uprising. Now people determine their own fate, but find that much of their control about the moon is lost. Right, over the moon. That would actually be a lot more accurate as a word. Haha. So because this AI control like all of the cool technology parts of the city, many of them are now just running themselves or like slowly no longer working because there isn't any proper maintenance. And so this whole civilization is slowly going downhill, which might be actually part of the reason why they're trying to conquer Earth, because they're finding that their own paradise on the moon which is usually hostile to life, is getting a bit, you know, defunct. Let's roll again for the next thing. A 3, another feature of culture. What's it gonna be? It's going to be cornflakes. That's the... Cool. Let's go full Greek mythology here. What is cornflakes if not bland nutrition? They're not particularly nutritious, but let's just pretend that they are for a minute. Let's just say that we don't actually have a culinary culture, but people just eat like a generalized thing that everybody consumes all the time, and let's call that thing ambrosia. So ambrosia, a singular superfood that takes care of all nutrition, is the only thing people eat. There are no chefs, no restaurants, and there is no creative expression. Not creative expression. Come on, Burger. Through the medium of cooking. Let's roll again. Let's see what we have. 2. No, 2 is not valid. Is not a valid answer. 3. Another 3. Let's go again. Let's thief. Oh, maybe we have people who like steal other people's elemental powers. Maybe sometimes they're lower class people, or maybe no, this is even better. Some elementals have like give you the ability to steal other people's elemental powers also, right? Like to absorb them and thereby also sort of absorb their life force. And so essentially then you have like multiple elemental powers, and any element can potentially do this. Like this could be a fire elemental that gives you the ability to do this, an ice elemental, you know, all of them, like a plant elemental, all of them give you the ability to do this. So we have essence theory, right? Some elementals give people the ability to absorb the powers of others by absorbing their life force. This is not permanent, but fuel-based and very much despised by society. These are vampires. They have to... should we make it so they have to drink their blood? We can discuss this with the group later. No, I think this. No, let's not do it with blood. Let's just have them like, you know, they touch your face and then they, you know, it sucks life force out of you. Okay, now we only have features of time left, so we're gonna just generate stuff here. I find generally that features of time are the most difficult to make. What do we have? Footprint. What are footprints? Footprints make trails, ancient mystery. Ancient mysteries about the origin of our species and civilization. Let's say, right, there's even more ancient artifacts that suggest, and this is how we tie back into the ancient aliens theme, that we actually came as a civilization from farther beyond the stars, which also means that we just don't know a lot about our own history. So we have interstellar artifacts, ruins, and ancient technology has been discovered, which hints that our civilization originated somewhere among the stars. Let's go again. Let's generate another word. Trove. Trove. This could be the reason, another reason why we go to Earth, right? So basically, the AI god created like stashes of resources and technology and stuff, and then hid them on Earth. Hidden vaults as kind of silos. Selene, which is what I called the AI supervisor, I just looked up what the Greek moon deity was, and it was Selene. Created stashes of wealth and technology and hid them on Earth in case those she was tasked with taking care of ever required a sudden injection of resources. So now these vaults exist on Earth, and obviously, like people, they want them because they're full of like cool technology and stuff and money, and so there's a lot of adventurers braving the dangers of Earth. And let's go with the final one. Specialty, a feature of time relating to specialty. Specialty, T is a resource that we have. I'm reaching here. T is a resource, maybe like the universal fuel that the whole thing runs on is running out. The resource is getting thin. Let's say, I would have called this ambrosia, but I can't call it ambrosia because ambrosia is already the other thing. There was something else that Greek mythology resources. No, this is not gonna. No, this is just gonna be internet resources. Yes, like information databases. Shit. Let's go for ambrosia. And probably in the related articles page of Wikipedia, there's going to be other stuff. See also, ichor is the ethereal fluid that is the blood of the gods and or immortals. Ha! We have an ichor shortage. The universal fuel that all technology runs on is becoming quite scarce and is not possible to create any more of it because only Saloon knew how to get it. So ichor is this like a magical thing that allows us to do all of the cool things that we can do to be more powerful than everything else. And maybe it's like she got it from somewhere, there was a source of it, maybe she manufactured it. This could be like a big storyline if you wanted to do like to save the world, to try and sort of, you know, get ichor. But of course, if you want to run this like the way that it ran in the real world, I guess, it would eventually lead to the downfall of this great civilization. Because obviously if this is in the past and this civilization no longer exists, you know. So yeah, that's the an example of how you do the 3x4 method of world building, sort of played in single player mode. I highly recommend that you do this also. This was a lot of fun. So yeah, that was the world we built, and as you can see, it was quite unusual and interesting. And I wrote this line before I did it on the computer, and it turns out that I was correct, because the 3x4 method works every single time. And as I said before, as you spread this method, which I really hope that you do, feel free to adapt it to your liking. I mean, I developed it in its current form, but really, ultimately, it's just a bunch of good ideas that I stole from various other people in game systems that I found interesting. The important thing is that you know it now and are able to play around with it. If you play RPGs, it's a great way to teach people about the world while at the same time getting them invested into it. It's such a great hybrid model, and it doesn't even take that long. Genuinely, this method is super quick. Like the whole recording time of the video that I had, you know, obviously I edited out the dead air, was like maybe 45 minutes where I did that on my own. So count like an hour, maybe an hour and a half with your friends, and you will have just a world. And the focus on like the bigger elements, the iconic things about the world over like the minutiae of the world really help you flesh things out as you play or at later points. It's genuinely an amazing thing. You have to be careful not to just make a new world every time you play something new, because you have this power now. There's just infinite worlds at your disposal at this point. And whenever you play with different people, they will have different ideas and different preferences, and it's amazing. And also, it's just a really cool, like, creative exercise to engage with every once in a while. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share this to your relevant communities, but do not spam them. Consider supporting me on maybe Patreon or maybe Subscribestar, whichever you prefer, buying some of the merchandise that is now right underneath the video. It's here, it's there, it's great. Or the short story collection that I have, for which I don't think I used the 3x4 method to create any of the 34 worlds encapsulated here, I'm pretty sure. And in that spirit, try it out, even if it is alone, with using like random generators. Try it out. It is a joy. And see you around, cunts.